Hello again, and welcome to another installment of RPS at Home 5th Grade Science Edition. My name is Mr. Jackson, and I teach at Southampton Elementary School. So, let's go ahead and get started in today's lesson. We will be talking about ecosystems again. So, the other day we talked about populations and communities. Today we're going to be talking about a little broader subject, and that's going to be the flow of energy through food webs. So, ecosystem, all the living and non-living components in an environment. But more importantly, the word interrelated, relationships. In the ecosystem, how do the living things need the non-living things? How do they get along with each other? How do they get their energy? So that's what we'll be tying into today. So before I get started, I wanted to remind you that as a science teacher, I really push the idea of making connections. And ecosystems cannot be a better way of describing connections because of all the relationships and how one thing needs the other and how they won't survive without using or needing or getting what they need to survive. So, let me make my head small again. For review, a population, the number of organisms of the same species that live in a particular area. And my example was, if you have a classroom of students, then you have a population of humans. A community. A community is all the organisms living in a particular area. My example was a forest, all the birds, crickets, beetles, bees, trees, worms, etc. that live in that area. So it's a broader term. So what we have here is a population of humans. What we have here is a forest community of all the things. So when you think about these words, please think of population, one thing, community, everything. That's how I get it straight in my head. Now, what we're going to talk about today is the flow of energy through a food web. And for me to explain this to you, I have to review some third grade things that you haven't heard from third grade, since third grade. So what we have here are three terms. We have producers, we have consumers, and we have decomposers. So if you remember me teaching some reading skills the other day, I told you to find the word within the word. And that really helps sometimes. So we look at the word producers and we say producers produce. And then we think of a synonym for produce. Synonym means same. So to produce something means to make something. So producers make their own food. And this is the miracle here. Plants. Plants make their own food. If there were no plants on this planet, there would be no life on this planet because this is the only thing that can make its own food. Next, we have consumers. And the word consumers, if you look at it, you see the word consume. And consume means to eat. In social studies, it means to buy something. But in science, it means to eat. And this is the bigger part of the food web, the ecosystem, the food chain, the energy pyramid. So, third grade review, you'll remember herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. So, what we have here is some prefixes. There we go back to reading again. Herb means plant. Herbivores are plant eaters. Carnivore, carni, means meat, meat eaters. Omnivores, omni means both. So Plant eaters, meat eaters, both eaters. They eat plants and animals. I myself am an omnivore. And then we have decomposers. So people see decomposers and they go, ooh, gross, disgusting. Well, we have to have decomposers because decomposers decompose. Decompose means break things down. So these are the recyclers. What they do is primarily bacteria and fungus break things down when they die. And that puts the nutrients back into the soil so these guys can use their roots and suck the nutrients up out of the ground and make new food. So what we have here is a life cycle. Producers produce, consumers consume, decomposers break it down and put it back in the soil. So the only confusing thing here is the consumers, because they're going to use a bunch of different terms here. They can say primary consumers, they can say secondary consumers, they can say bottom level, medium level, top level. So this is a harder thing to understand here, but we're getting ready to watch a video about it that's going to clarify everything. So producers produce, consumers consume, decomposers break down. So what we have here is a very, very fancy picture. Let me make my head small again. So there's a lot of information going on in this picture, but I chose this picture because I see producers. Producers are plants. Plants take energy from the sun and turn it into matter. They store it, they eat it, and they store it. So when we get hungry, we have to eat something. So you'll hear your stomach making noise. That's saying I'm hungry. I need some energy. So how do we get energy? We get energy by eating things. So we eat producers. We eat consumers, herbivores, carnivores, omnivores. So right here is the producer, phytoplankton. It gets its energy from the sun. Then we have a whole bunch of consumers, and this is where I said it gets a little interesting because you have primary consumers, and secondary consumers, and lower order and middle level and top consumers. So easy way to think about this is bigger things eat smaller things. So these are microscopic. This is phytoplankton, this is zooplankton. So these are microscopic animals that eat that. But this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is the basis of the food chain in the ocean. If we didn't have phytoplankton, we would die. Life in the ocean would die. And there's another very important thing about phytoplankton. It makes oxygen. And these guys make a majority of the oxygen that we breathe. So you're thinking plants and trees and brushes and all that stuff and grass. Well, yeah, they make oxygen, but these guys right here, they make a ton of it. So this is the basis of the food chain, and this is how we get oxygen to breathe. So here we go to that relationships, interrelationships. We need them. They don't necessarily need us, but we definitely need them. So producers, consumers, bigger things eating smaller things, and decomposers. So unfortunately, I don't really have any pictures of decomposers in here. So what I want to do is show you how easy it is to find information. So what do? I go to Google. I type in DE, decomposers, and look at that. This thing's so smart, it's already showing me. So decomposers in the ocean. I click on it. And look at that. Bacteria, fungus, marine worms, sea slugs, sea worms. It's amazing. What is all that? We Google it, all this information comes up. And this is where you, as a student, have to be smart. A lot of y'all just got Chromebooks, so be careful what you type in here because this thing remembers everything you type in. And you don't want to be the silly person that types something in there and does something silly, if you know what I mean. So I want to know decomposers in the ocean because they weren't in the picture. I click on this and look at this. We go right into something else right here. Let me move my head. You got videos, it's asking me questions. There's that food chain. Oh my goodness, this jumps right into review. So Monday, I asked you to look at those pictures of the food chain and the food web. Did you see the difference? Because I'm getting ready to review it. Bigger things eat smaller things eat even smaller things, and then there's that phytoplankton. So here's a food chain. This gets energy from the sun, this eats that eats this eats that eats that, and then there's our top predatory consumer. We call this an apex predator because nobody's messing with him. We move on down to what I am getting ready to talk about today. And look at this thing, looks like a hot mess. So I'm getting ready to teach this, but it's exactly like I said. Bigger things are eating smaller things. The smaller things are on the bottom. So here's these words: primary producers, herbivore consumers, first level, second level, third level, top. So it breaks it down into a nice picture here. Now, going back to our presentation. Ecosystem, relationships. So I've talked about a lot of things here. These are organisms. Those are birds. These are reptiles. This is living. That's non-living. But these are all relationships. So you got to start thinking about how they need each other. So here comes a bigger picture for you, ladies and gentlemen. This is an energy pyramid. And an energy pyramid is how energy flows through the system. Nature is a very interesting thing. It's kind of like a balance scale. It doesn't want too much. It doesn't want too little. It finds ways to balance out. So that's how nature takes care of things. It balances things out. And here's a beautiful way of balancing things. So we have producers, herbivores, carnivores, predators. Hold on just a little bit, honey. So, energy. An energy pyramid is nature's way of distributing energy. So, there's one way of looking at it. Here's another way of looking at it. Producers produce, they make their own energy. And then these organisms eat that. And then those organisms eat that. And then more predatory animals eat the smaller and medium-sized animals. And then the top predators eat those guys. So another way of thinking about this is a pizza. You're getting ready to see this food pyramid in a video. But let me just try to explain this to you. Let's call this a pan pizza. This isn't an extra large pizza. Let's say you're going to eat a little teeny personal pan pizza. And if you see this fraction, you see this fraction as one whole pizza or 10 slices of pizza. So we have one whole pizza because we have 10 tenths here. Let's think about it this way. When you eat a personal pan pizza, 9 of these slices go to the systems that you need to get energy. We can't make our own energy like plants do. We have to eat other things to get the energy. So when we eat, 9 of these slices go to our body's system of maintaining stuff. And then one slice goes to storing energy. So you're about to see a video that'll show you an energy pyramid, and this is the explanation. 9 tenths of energy goes to the organism's ability to do cellular respiration, to make the cells work. 1 tenth goes to storing it. So when something else eats that 1 tenth of stored energy is how they get their energy. So it's kind of freaky. And I don't want to spill the beans because I don't want you to get this without me having you do the steps you need to do. So let's jump into what we are doing. This is day 2. So what you're going to do is watch a vocabulary on ecosystems. I've already pulled it up. Here it is. So this is about ecosystems. And in this video, it talks about the difference between a food chain and a food web. This is a food web right here. And if you didn't get it the other day, food webs are made up of food chains. But food webs are overlapping food chains. So it's just a bigger picture. That's all this is. So when you watch this, you're going to get a whole lot of information. It's going to talk about that, but then it's going to talk about producers, consumers, and decomposers, and then how they need each other. So after you do that, you watch it, you take the quick quiz at the end. We'll also be using our student journal where we go and write things down. But before we get to that, we'll also watch a video from BrainPOP on that energy pyramid. So there's the energy pyramid. And as I am sitting here explaining this to you, these pictures are cycling around. I love when they have those shirts. Every time you watch one of these, the thing that Tim is wearing is what it's talking about. So right here, you'll see that there's a lot more animals on the bottom, and then it starts to thin out towards the top. So what I want you to think about as you watch this video is these guys need to eat more of these. These guys need to eat more of them. And those guys need to eat a whole bunch of producers because they have to eat a certain amount to get the energy that they need because they're not producers. So this goes into the harder part of the lesson today. So please watch that video and take the quiz Friday. So let's just jump on into our journal. So again, here is your journal. You click on that, you go to File, you make a copy, you title it, and then you can organize once you get used to using Google Chrome a little more. Now, let's scroll on down. What I asked you to do the other day was look at that, what you see, what you thought, what you wondered, but here it is right here. The difference between a food chain and a food web is a food web is a whole bunch of these. It's a whole bunch of food chains tied into each other. And this goes back to that bigger idea of ecosystems. So please try to make these connections. And whenever you get confused, please remember, all you got to do is go to Google, type it in, and boom. Man, that really makes life easy right there. I wish I had that when I was a 5th grade student. Let me say 3 words to you. Dewey Decimal System. Ask your parents. They'll explain it to you. So we're in our journal. We did all these things. How are they alike? How they're different? One is one direction. This is another direction. And this ties into what I'll be teaching next week. One, a bunch. So here's our review. We've already covered all these things. So today, we watched the ecosystem video. You wrote down your things, and if you would like, just hit the rewind button and write down those things that I talked about. So, energy pyramid. If you haven't made a BrainPOP account, which you can do and get a free account while we're sitting here at home not being able to go to school, it is free. So just get your parents to help you because I believe you need an email. Otherwise, please use RPS science_1 and the password is for me to use ! Just like the computers at school. So my main question to you after you watch that, can you explain why there aren't so many top predatory animals in certain environments from the energy pyramid video? I will explain that next week if you didn't happen to get it. Day 3, we've got some evaluations for you. So our first thing is a food web quiz, and this is Solpass. So if you've never been to Solpass, this is fantastic. This is it right here, guys. There are study guides, there's review, there's games on here, there's all sorts of stuff if your teacher's never shared this with you. So let me just show you. You click on elementary school, this thing comes up. I myself am at Southampton. So I just start to type the word, and just like that Google search, it's guessing what you're going after. I'm at Southampton Elementary School in Richmond. I am not Southampton Middle School in Southampton County. We are in the city. So we type in Southampton at Southampton. The password is Richmond with a capital R. You log in. Boom. Here is this one thing right here, a food web quiz. So the beauty of this thing is it grades it for you, and it tells you if you get it right or wrong, and it's got all these great pictures on here. So this is an excellent website. There is all sorts of things that you can do, because you can use this for science, math, social studies. Look at all this stuff. Virginia studies, great. But here is my mojo right here, 4th and 5th grade. And look at all this. Let me move my head again. All the things we cover in 5th grade. Here's all the 4th grade concepts. Here's the 5th grade concepts. If you get confused, you can click on any of this stuff. Here's where we are, ecosystems. There's that energy pyramid I'm talking about. Here's a whole bunch of other different things. And my favorite thing about this is the study guides. This is where Mr. Jackson gets his study guides. So here's everything that's going to be on that wonderful SOL test. But please let's remember SOLs stands for the standards of learning, and that's just the basics, guys. Science is a big thing, but the more you know, the more people can't mess with you. So check all this stuff out. It is great stuff. Moving on. After you're done with your SOL pass, please go to BrainPOP and do the energy pyramid quiz. And finally, we have an optional activity. What I'd like for you to do is choose a consumer and research it. Find out about its habitat and where it fits into the food web. Can you draw the organism in its environment? So let's just pick something. And I picked a gray wolf. So what I did was I Googled it, hit the image button, and found a cool picture. I am not an artist, as you can see. I'm more of a tracer, but I just slowly draw it and then do my best with the eraser. So here are my gray wolves. Here it's habitat. This was a snow environment, but I can't do that. So I just drew some fir trees, some evergreens, and some wolves going through there. So a gray wolf. They travel in packs, also known as a timber wolf. They are top apex predators, eating deer, elk, bison, and moose, to name a few. They will also eat smaller mammals when they have to. But remember that energy pyramid thing. If it's smaller, they're probably going to have to eat more of them. And if it's bigger, they won't have to eat as much. But check this out. Its environments are diverse, including tundras, mountain areas, woodlands, forests, grasslands, and deserts. That goes back to habitats right there. These guys can weigh anywhere from 60 to 145 pounds. You don't want that thing chasing you. Wolves can eat 20 pounds of meat in a single meal. Yum, yum. What else would you like to know? So again, this Google thing is awesome. Please just pick an animal, research it, draw me a simple picture, write down some stuff, and post it on Flipgrid. So here's Flipgrid. You click on it. Bazinga. What's your consumer? So let me move my head again. There. Oh, I got here is my gray wolf right here. So You have to do it and then click the button and just videotape it. So it's not too bad. And I am still waiting for somebody to do that because I have not seen anybody do that. All right. I hope today's lesson was good. I hope I didn't go over your head too much. But just remember, the hardest thing that you're going to do today is understand that energy pyramid. So if you're good at math and you know your fractions a little bit, you'll understand that 10 going up, 10 going up, 10 going up, 10 going up. You'll see it in the video. You know what I'm talking about. And if not, just go to Google it, and learn some more. Because if you haven't figured this out yet, in the first 3 years, kindergarten, first, and second, we teach you to learn. But after that, after you're a good reader, you read to learn. So you're really you're your own teacher. So please pick up a book, read it, learn something. I hope you're all safe and sound. I hope you try to learn something every day. And I hope everyone has a good day. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.